Okay, today we're going to look at how the United States took some initial steps into becoming a world power throughout the second half of the 1800s. Right, so America becoming an imperial power. We're going to just kind of travel back in time here a little bit. During 7th grade, you learned about something called manifest destiny, which was the idea that the United States was destined to control all the land from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Right, so throughout the early 1800s and into the second half of the 1800s, the United States was accumulating land, right, getting all the way out to the Pacific Ocean. But now once we control all the land from the Atlantic to the Pacific, the desire for land isn't just going to disappear. So the United States is now going to start looking throughout the Pacific Ocean, right, for new lands, for access to goods, for new trading opportunities, for new sources of wealth. All right, so this map is just quickly showing you all the land and territory acquisitions that the United States has made, right, since 1783, which we start here, right, and you can see there are different ways the United States can go about getting land. Right, in the case of Louisiana Purchase, the United States just outright buys territory, buys land from another country, right? And then another way is through an annexation, which we did with Texas, where we essentially assume control of that particular part of, or that particular land, right? And it's kind of like absorbing. I guess you can make the connection with the A and the A. We absorb them into the United States. Right, now, why should the United States think about expanding? Well, even though we're still a young country, the United States is still very much interested in trying to increase its status on the world stage, right, and become, one of the powerful countries in the world. And the way to go about doing that is to accumulate as many colonies as possible, like other European countries had already been doing, right? As we all know, we started off as a British colony. Great Britain had colonies all over the world, and all those colonies are going to provide wealth and power. Right, so here's one of the two important words you need to know for this chapter, right, is imperialism, the policy by which stronger nations extend their economic, political, or military control over weaker nations, right? We have two of our three keywords of social studies. Economic would be trade or money, political would be government, and then military would obviously through brute strength or military force. Right. Essentially, it's where a big country influences or controls a smaller country. And there are a variety of ways you can go about doing it. For economic, it would be through investment or a favorable balance of trade. Political would be you help establish democracy in that country. And then military, you provide protection, or outright you just assimilate or annex that country. Right, and here's the other word, ethnocentrism, can also be used as a motive for expansion. Right, ethno means cultural, centrism means central. It's essentially the superiority of one culture over another. Right, for instance, you take over a country because you feel they would benefit from being part of your country. They are inferior to you. Right, you are helping them, right, helping them improve. Right, now this is an interesting political cartoon. It's showing Uncle Sam. We always can tell Uncle Sam because of the long white hair. Right, we have the goatee here, the striped suit. Right, and he's playing poker against a number of different countries, European countries and some Asian countries. Right, you can always tell by the hats, and we're going to do that when we look at propaganda posters and political cartoons in World War II. Okay, the derby is going to represent Great Britain. The spiked hat is going to represent Germany. Okay, this is Russia here. You can kind of see Germany and Russia written on their hats. But they're playing cards. And I know it gets a little confusing here, but this one is definitely clear. It says Cuba. One of the poker chips here is Cuba, which is an island in the Caribbean. So all of these are going to symbolize colonies throughout the world, trade organizations, and you can see it's the United States versus the rest of the world. So this artist was trying to give you the point of view that the United States was doing very well, right, on the imperial front. Right. Another thing that just occurred to me was when you look at the word imperial, okay, it kind of looks very similar to empire. So if you kind of just put an EMP at the beginning of that, you have, it almost resembles the word imperial. So if that helps you remember, imperial, you're forming an empire, you're accumulating lots of land, you're influencing lots of people. Hey, if that works for you, great. Right? But why should the United States get involved? Well, and supporters felt it would help in three different categories. One, it would lead to financial superiority, meaning we would be trading with other countries, they'd be buying our goods, we'd be buying their goods, right? Everybody would be doing well. right? It would also strengthen us militarily. If we're going to have all of these territories, we're going to have a strong military to be able to protect them, right? And it's also going to allow us to spread democracy, which if you think today, the United States getting involved with other countries, right, we're trying to spread democracy or protect democracy around the world. All right, now, as the United States looks through the Pacific, because remember, we've now gotten all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Now we're going to expand into the Pacific Ocean. There are two ways, all right, that the United States can go about doing it. First one is an outright purchase, like we saw on the map, right? The second would be an annexation or an absorption, all right, of another country. The first one we'll look at is Alaska. All right, so this map is showing you Alaska in relation to the United States. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that Texas is the largest state in the Union, when in fact, if you look at Alaska, it's roughly half the size of the United States. Now, some of you may be thinking, why on earth did the United States want Alaska? It's way up north, it's cold, it's snowy all the time, you can't farm there, right? And a lot of people in the mid-1800s felt the same exact way. So a little background, 1867, Secretary of State William Seward, all right, for $7.2 million, he buys, all right, the Alaskan Territory. Now, a lot of people thought this was a huge mistake. They felt that he was wasting millions of dollars on, like we just said, on land that's cold all the time, you can't farm, right? They actually referred to it as Seward's folly or Seward's mistake, right? Because it was, they didn't see any use or any possibility or any positive attributes of purchasing that land, right? But it turns out Alaska was a tremendous steal for the United States, right? Right off the bat, rich in several natural resources, timber and mineral being two of them. Gold is also discovered in Alaska, and then it turns out oil is going to be found as well. So it was far, far from being a mistake or a folly. Right, and then the other territory the United States accumulates during this period, and the initial steps to being a world empire, all right, is the annexation of Hawaii. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. All right, there is some drama. It is kind of like a soap opera. There's a story involved. Okay, so the United States originally starts off interacting with Hawaii in a positive way. All right, we have planters, all right, farmers that are living in Hawaii that are doing very well. Okay, we know that there's a lot of different things you can grow in Hawaii that you can't grow here in the United States. So they are taking advantage of the demand for those kinds of goods, right? But the Hawaiian queen, Liliuokalani, right, she becomes threatened by the amount of influence that American planters are having in Hawaii. So she tries to limit their power. Now, she doesn't try and take them out, so to say, but she definitely tries to retain or take back some of the power for the Hawaiian government. So the planters threatened, seeing that their financial security, their profits are being threatened, they run to the United States, and the United States, thinking about money, gets involved and supports a revolution in Hawaii to overthrow the Hawaiian government. And then the United States essentially absorbs Hawaii or controls Hawaii. And then we've talked already about Pearl Harbor, right, being used as a naval base, right? And the map on the next slide is going to show us the prime location that Hawaii is going to have. So if you're looking at the map here, you have the United States, you have Hawaii out here in the center of the Pacific, which is going to provide it with easy access, right, to several different trading lanes in the Pacific. It's also going to be used as a naval base and as a refueling station. Right, so you can kind of see the United States is going to get two territories, right, initially in the Pacific. Alaska through Seward's folly or Seward's purchase, and Hawaii through an annexation and the overthrow of the Hawaiian government. Right, now those are just the first steps that the United States is going to take. Right, we're going to look at some of the other ones here in the future.